Have I got a deck for you? Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. As we wait for the release of Ryzeal, I decided to take it upon myself to play one of the funniest decks that I could think of, which is Kuriboh, or what I lovingly refer to as War Crimes. This deck is entirely aimed at making the opponent as uncomfortable and in as much pain as physically possible. Basically, the entire goal of this deck is to make the opponent hate every moment of that duel. And it's pretty damn good at it. If you don't know how this deck works, Kuribohs, or more specifically, the Kuriboh archetype, all center around preventing damage in some capacity or another. So, with every single one of these cards aiming to, on attack declaration, more or less on attack declaration, prevent damage in some capacity or another, what is this deck? What is its game plan? Right? Obviously, we're not playing like all the Kuribohs, so what is its actual game plan? If we're not playing Babylon, sorry, where is he? Where is he? Where is my... But there he is. If we're not playing Babylon, what is our win con? Our win con, 1, is to annoy the opponent to death, which is why we're playing things like specifically Magical Cylinder. But 2, it's also burn. It's burn. We're trying to burn our opponent. Now, in theory, this is better than it actually is. Because, theoretically, you could burn with a whole bunch of cards, you know. Dimensional Wall, Magic Cylinder, Secret Barrel. That's a lot of damage, right? In practice, most of the time, what you're doing is you're waiting for your opponent to lose their mind, and then you win. That's generally what you're doing. You're not actually winning many games. So, let's just go over the card by card and the explanations. Starting off with the Kuribohs, we have 3 Winged Kuriboh. It just prevents damage when destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Rainbow Kuriboh, which on attack declarations equips itself to the monster attacking and then prevents the attack. And also it can reborn itself to, again, prevent another attack, which is pretty nice. We're playing 3 Kuribleh, which is when the opponent attacks, you special summon this, and then any damage you would take, you then gain that many life points instead. So, for example, if the opponent attacks with a 3,000 attack point monster, you special summon this guy, they attack into you, and then you gain a 2,700. Make sense? Pretty good. We have Kuriboh, which is a card that allows you to, on attack declaration, search another Kuriboh monster from your deck to your hand, which is pretty solid, which could be, you know, these guys. Which does mean that the attack does go through, because by the time you send this guy to the graveyard and search a card, the attack has been declared, and it resolves, the like, attack declaration resolves, so you can't, like, chain another guy in order to special summon them or activate their effects. So keep that in mind. That's also why we're only playing 2 of this. And then we're also playing Kuriborn, which allows you to discard it at the end of the battle phase to target a monster in the grave that was destroyed by battle that turn and sent to the graveyard, and special summon it. However, it's mostly used for its second effect, where when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card to target any number of Kuriboh monsters in your grave and special summon them. Now, notably, this card is also a Kuriboh card because it is Link Kuriboh. So that also helps. And also, of course, all of these are level 1s. We're also playing 1 card that is absolutely obscenely busted in this deck, which is Scapegoat, which says, flip, summon any number of Black Sheep tokens. Why is this so busted? Well, if your game plan is to slow the duel down and prevent the opponent from killing you over and over, if you were to set this, and then say it gets flipped up by the opponent going to combat, you can summon 4 tokens. Or if you were to flip summon it yourself after activating like a Mirror Force or a Threatening Roar or something else along those lines, bada bing bada boom, there's 5 materials worth of monsters. Fantastic. What can you do with all of those monsters? You can make Avramax. Look, there's not a whole lot that you can do with a bunch of normal monsters after flip summoning, but for the most part, Avramax is pretty good. It's not bad. And it's annoying, especially after making an IP Mask Arena to go into the Avramax. That's pretty dang good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Technically it does other things, but mostly that's what it's used for. As for the rest of the cards, it's a bunch of burn cards and annoying cards. We're playing Mirror Force, specifically the original Mirror Force. Why? Because it's the most funny. We're also playing Magic Cylinder. Why? Because it's the most funny. We're also playing Dimensional Wall. We're also playing Just Desserts at 2. We're playing 1 Ceasefire. We're playing 3 Secret Barrel. And then we're playing a 2 apiece of Balance of Judgment, which if you haven't read this card, it says if your opponent controls more cards than the combined number of cards in your hand and that you control, you draw cards equal to their surplus. So with how many cards you just end up sending to the graveyard or like getting rid of over the course of a duel, oftentimes you will be able to Balance of Judgment for 2, 3, or even 4, sometimes even more. So it's pretty solid. On top of that, we're also playing Trap Trick, which is, again, fairly solid. And then, of course, Threatening Roar. As for the... Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. We're also playing Lava Golem because we don't really need our normal, and, of course, the Roach. As for the extra deck, it's pretty simple. The only cards that really matter are the Link monsters. The extra deck, other than the Link monsters, don't really matter. Except for Typhon. Typhon's, like, pretty good here. But we have Link Spider, we have Anima, or sorry, we have Link Kariba, we have Anima. I'm not playing Anima because I'm poor. We also have a Nightmare, all of the Nightmares. We have Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. Realistically, I should be playing SP. Why am I not? Because, I don't know. We have IP Masquerade, we have Lina, because all of these, a lot of them are light. For the most part, most of them are, at least a fair amount of them are light. So you could also play Dark if you really wanted to, but for the most part, Dark Karibos don't really stick on the field. So there's that. We're playing a BLS because it's funny. And then Avramax, as previously mentioned. Let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Alrighty, so here we are going first because, I mean, we're playing trap cards. Of course we want to go first, but it also doesn't matter. We can go second. That's also the case. I'm going to set 4 and pass because that's all we do in this deck. But it's fine, because we're playing against Mimighoul. Mimighoul is going to search out the dungeon, and then they're going to activate the Maker, and they're going to reveal a bunch of cards. They're going to give themselves, or they're going to summon Slime to my field, and then grab Archfiend. Archfiend is going to special summon. They're going to special summon the Slime. They're going to special summon the Master. They're going to activate the Master. They're going to grab the Archfiend here. Then they're going to activate their field spell in order to grab another guy. They're going to grab Dragon here, and now they go for Gigantes. Gigantes effect is going to activate. They're going to grab another Maker, and then they're going to proceed to the battle phase, and I'm going to activate the Magic Cylinder, because it's funny. That's it. My opponent's going to give me Archfiend, and I'm like, that's A-okay, because now I got to go for Ceasefire here. We're going to activate the Ceasefire, dealing 25, putting them down to 37. And then I'm going to activate Balance of Judgment, which is going to draw me 3 cards. Fantastic cards as well. We're going to draw another Dimensional Wall, which is very funny. And now we're going to go for the Link Karibo. This is the best card that I make the entire game. This card alone saves me this entire game. Now, if you haven't noticed, the Mimighouls are all level 1. Just keep that in mind. They're going to go Archfiend here. They're also going to banish my Curryborn, which is tragic. But that's fine. We're just going to pitch a card, and then they're going to go Super Polymerization away my guy to go into Muddragon. Sure. That's fine. Anyway, they search out the dragon during the end phase. I'm like, that's A-okay. They're going to change everything to Earth, or change this guy to Earth so that they can't be destroyed, and then go to combat. Here they're going to activate I activate Dimension Wall, which will force them to take the damage, and they're like, let's not do that. And they're going to activate the Mimighoul Room to bounce any number of Mimighoul cards they control to the hand. I'm like, oh, no. That's not allowed to go back into the hand. So away went through the entire field. Then they attacked into Scapegoat. Hooray! So out comes all of the tokens. Hooray! Anyway, out comes Dragon. And I'm like, oh no, that's a problem. Except for the fact that it's not, because it's a level 1. So out comes Archfiend, and I just tribute away the dragon. I'd like to keep my cards, thank you. Also, you may have noticed something there, which is that Slime didn't summon from deck. They're out of guys already. So that's interesting. They're going to grab another room, which we're playing multiple of for reasons. And then they're going to give me back a Slime. I don't know. Yeah, why not? Why not give me back Slime? Anyway, the Link Karibo is once again in Grave, which is very funny. At this point, it doesn't really matter because we're going to go into IP Masquerade, and then out comes Maker to attempt to flip up a card, and I'm just going to not allow that. However, they do get to go Room here to give me Dragon, which is not good, because they're just immediately going to flip it up and nuke the field. That's not great. Anyway, it's fine. We just set the Curryborn. Like, that's fine. I mean, they're going to die to the Dimensional Wall anyway, right? Right? They flip up the Curryborn and then proceed to combat, and I'm going to go for the Link Karibo here, and then, you know, attempt to go for the Dimensional Wall. Of course, they're going to elect to bounce their entire hand. That's fine. We'll go for the Curryborn here to reborn our guys, and Yeah, they could just walk over the Link Karibo there, but that's fine because mostly it's just so that we don't die. And then they make Zayas. I don't know why they make Zayas here, but they do. Anyway, we're going to draw into Koriborn again. Hell yeah. Of course, here we're going to tribute in order to go into Nightmare Cerberus, which is kind of cool. We're going to activate the effect of the Cerberus to pop the Zayas, to the which they will nuke their own field, which is great, because, yeah, I didn't want their field spell on the field anymore, so that's cool. We get to get rid of the entire field here, and of course they have another one. Gosh dang it. Well, I guess we're still stuck here. They're going to go for the Archfiend here. They're going to normal summon the guy, and then they're going to special summon the Archfiend, and then they're going to set 2. I'm just going to not allow that to happen. Yeah, that guy's not allowed. So, yeah, they, well, it's not a good draw, but at least we're not dead here, right? Like, what are they going to do? That's going to kill me here, right? Okay, out comes Dungeon. Sure, they're going to activate that in order to grab up Dragon. Dragon is then going to be special summoned to my side of the field, and then they're going to go to the combat phase and not attack, because Link Karibo is a card that would have immediately dealt with their answer to Link Karibo, which is kind of cool. I'm just going to flip up the Dragon here so that I can give them Lava Golem. I also did draw Bleh here, which is very good, and the reason I do this, because again, Bleh actually gains me life points, which is pretty solid. So they're going to take 1,000 damage, and then they are going to activate the Dungeon effect here in order to grab up Master, and then Master is going to be normal summon. They're going to go combat, and I'm going to go Bleh. So, yeah, game 27. Sick. They're going to pass the turn, and, well, I mean, we're still kind of dead here, but woo! Scapegoat. So I get to set Scapegoats, and they flip it up immediately. Of course, they're going to activate the Imperm that they have, which is fine, because we have Link Karibo, because it's a level 1! So we get to summon out a whole bunch of dinguses, and now we get to go into the Nightmare Phoenix, and then from there, we get to go into the Nightmare Unicorn, and then from there, we get to go into Link Spider, and then we get to go into the Avramax. Sick. We're going to activate, or we're going to go to combat and walk the Avramax into the Mimighoul Master. And now I know what you're saying. Wait, why didn't we attack into the guy that wasn't normal summoned, the Lava Golem, and kill them? And the answer is, you forgot. The point of this deck is not to win, but to make my opponent as angry as possible. Or, not necessarily anger in specifics, but more specifically, just waste as much time as physically possible. So, of course, instead of walking into the Lava Golem and ending this here, we're instead going to do this because it's funnier. So, we're going to shuffle away the field spell, because surely they're not going to have another field spell. And, yeah. My opponent's going to take another 1,000 damage. Sick. And, of course, they have to have the field spell. Anyway, out comes the Mimighoul Master. They're going to attempt to go to combat. I'm going to go for the Link Karibo. And then, on attack declaration, because of the way that this works, I actually get to chain not only the Link Karibo in order to put everything to 0, but I also get to chain Kariborn in order to reborn that Link Karibo that I just activated, as well as a bunch of other cards. So, hooray! Anyway, they make Zayas. Or, not Zayas, Typhon here. Whoops. So now I have to deal with Typhon. My opponent's going to activate Lancia, for some reason. But that's okay, because I'm just going to make Lina here. We're going to go for the Lina effect, and we're going to grab up Zayas, because he's big. And then I'm going to crash here, because I can actually search out a card, which happens to be Rainbow Karibo. Pretty cool. And then I'm just going to walk over the Typhon here. And now I have a big Zayas on my side of the field, as well as 2 ways to prevent me from dying. So, that's nice. My opponent realizes the writing on the wall and just attacks with the Droll. And that's exactly what we're here for. War crimes. Alright, once again, here we are, going first. And, is that Scapegoat? That's Scapegoat, baby. Alright, we are going to set 5 and pass. Wow, crazy, who would have guessed? Anyway, let's see what we can accomplish here. My opponent reveals that they're on Fiendsmith, but they added the... okay, don't think about it. They're going to go for Lurie here. They're going to special summon the Lurie out into the Requiem, and now we can all just take a nap, because we've seen this combo before. Out comes the Lacrima. Lacrima from hand, by the way. This hand was terrible for my opponent. They had like 5 normal summons. Anyway, they're going to go into Lacrima. Now, you may have noticed they sent Kyrie to the graveyard, which is a card. That's all. That is a card. That does exist. They also had Engraver in hand. Man, they just had like so many Fiendsmith cards. They're going to go into the sequence here. They're going to activate the effect of the Lacrima in order to burn for a bit more by putting back the Lurie. Then they're going to Fusion Summon here. They're going to send back 2 in order to go into Rextrament, which will then allow them to go into Agnum Day. Agnum Day is going to then, they're going to then add back the Engraver into their hand, and then Agnum Day is going to equip it in order to go into the Or sorry, in order to give this guy piercing and what have you. Now, if you haven't noticed, I do have a dimension wall set, which does say activate only when an opponent's monster declares an attack. Instead of your opponent takes any battle damage that you would have taken. So, let's see what we can accomplish here. Activate the dimensional wall, and they're going to walk into 6,000 damage. Cool. Anyway, I also now get 4 tokens. 10 out of 10. No notes. I love Scapegoats. Anyway, I draw Lava Golem, which doesn't do anything here, but that's fine, because we get to go into IP Mask Arena. We then activate the Max C. Oh. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but on the far left over there, there is a specific card that does require my opponent to control and have in hand a total of 10 cards in order to kill them. Yep, they died to activating Max C. And then Secret Barrel. Yeah, good game. Imagine losing to Karibo in the year of our Lord 2025. Yes, hello guys. We are back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is so unbelievably goofy. Every time I play this deck, it is just the silliest. Now the thing is, the goal, again, is not to win. If you're going into this understanding how the deck functions, if you are trying to win the game... Okay, not necessarily win the game. If you are hoping to win the game, if you're going into each duel expecting a positive outcome, throw that out the window. Just forget that concept entirely. Your goal is to make the opponent suffer. Your goal is to be as goofy as possible. Your goal is to make the opponent wish that they never had played that duel. That's the goal. Because let me tell you, you're not going to win most of your duels. I got very lucky with that Mimighoul opponent, because guess what? If they are not a whole bunch of level 1s on my side of the field that they are specifically giving me to tribute for Link Karibo, I am dead 10 times out of 10, right? And that Fiendsmith player was very funny. And that's the entire point. What if it was funny how you died? What if you looked back on that and went, wow, I can't believe I lost to that? What if your existence was pain because of the entire duel that we ended up playing, which ended up taking an hour? That's the goal. It's basically the same thing that Paleo does, but without a win condition. Or with a very silly win condition. I love this deck. It's very silly. I would not recommend it necessarily, but it is a deck to surpass, I don't know, Maliss or something like that. It's just funny. While we're waiting for Ryzeo, why not play a funny deck? Don't try and climb. Don't try and have, you know, a positive win rate. Just tank your win rate and play Karibo. That's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, that like is very much appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.